we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of that race. So one thing that I really liked, because I'm an old retired soldier and I kind of like pageantry and spectacle, I loved the 5 wide show they did at the beginning of the race.
Jimmy,
I thought that was spectacular. Those cars looked beautiful in formation going down that track. And then here came Jimmy Johnson right up the left side, and they put him right around in front.
Yeah, it was really neat, man.
He probably would have wished he could have won. But
yeah. He had a very good run, man. He ran good, so not bad, man. I mean, it's all about consistency in this sport.
So one thing I like about NASCAR is unapologetically American. Nobody takes a knee at a NASCAR track. You know, when they sing the national anthem, and by the way, that little girl singing the national anthem.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. My wife, we were watching it at work, and I told her, I said, look at that little girl singing, man. It was
8 years old,
pretty
right?
Cool, man. Yeah, it was cool.
She nailed it. So I just love that. I mean, I love it when people are proud to be American, and I love it when people just relish and glory in the experience of living in the greatest country on the planet Earth. So that was great. The bad. So there was some inspections that got failed. So Big, why do we have inspections?
Well, you have inspections to make sure NASCAR pretty much sets the templates, man. They set the rules saying your car's got to be within this so far, and if it's outside, it's not passable. And Truex obviously failed 3 times, so he'll be penalized for that, whether, I don't remember if it's going to be practice time or what it is. Pretty sure it's practice time. You know, these guys are trying to get every inch, every thousandth of an inch, everything out of this car that they can possibly get and squeak by, because that, 10,000th of an inch could be 1/10,000th of a horsepower, which might just be enough for aero, less drag, or, it could be just enough to get you what you need to be better than everybody else on that track. So
is it fair to say they're looking for an unfair advantage?
I'm not going to say an unfair advantage, because everybody in that garage, trust me, today's rules are a lot different than what it used to be. There would be things that were made to be obvious that people would catch, and things that weren't obvious that they would miss. Nowadays, it's pretty much laser templates, the technology that goes through as far as these cars passing. You're not getting away with much. You're going to gain that in your R&D department back at the shop. You're going to gain that with your engineers. You're going to gain that with smarts, not
if you ain't cheating,
fooling around.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah, I guess you can say that, man. Everybody's going to give it a whirl a time or two. So.
All right. Okay. So. I mentioned last week about this kid that's this young man that's making videos. His name on YouTube is Slap Shoes, and as it turns out, he just makes great videos. I love him. And he did one about Martin Truex. And in that discussion, I came to learn that Truex has been driving for 17 years. He's driving now for Joe Gibbs in the 19 car. His dad was a racer. His dad used to run a 56 car, and it was before Busch Series. I forget what they called it, but they had a name for it. The early, not lower class racing, but as the Xfinity is today, what do we call that?
Yeah, it was the Busch Series, or maybe the Grand National.
Grand National.
Yeah.
His dad raced in the Grand. Thank you. That's why Big's here, keep me straight.
No problem, man.
Yeah, he was a Grand National guy. So Truex really struggled, and he went from team to team to team and didn't really kick it. And then a significant thing happened to him. His girlfriend that he's had, Sherry Pollock, since 2005, she came up and got cancer. And cancer almost killed that girl.
Yeah.
And that dude did not shrink from that challenge, nor did she. And he was at her side every single step of the way. And she fought like hell. And I'm going to need the swear bucket in a minute. She fought like hell, and she beat that cancer. And when she came out on the far end of that, I think according to Slap Shoes, what happened was Truex said, well, if she can fight and win, by God, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start fighting and winning too. What do you think?
I think timing was right. Obviously nobody ever wants to see a loved one or a family member or anybody have to go through that, disease or sickness. Things fell into place for him, man. He got a ride there with the Furniture Row, who affiliated with Gibbs. And man, it really started turning around for him. Did a lot of good in that car. Obviously, Edwards retired kind of out of the blue.
Right.
He kind of fell right in there, man, and got in really good equipment, and is now, you know, in the later part of his career, starting to get to showcase the talent that he's had all along. Everybody knew he had talent. You know, it just finally being in the equipment to be able to perform the way you want. You know, a lot of guys don't get rides. A lot of guys, I mean, there's probably a lot of drivers out there who could have been, would have been, should have been.
Right.
But weren't, because they didn't have the equipment. They didn't have the backing. I mean,
like Savannah's very own Delma Cowart, perhaps.
I mean, right, could be, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. So.
Yeah. Well, Delma, if you ever see this video, I'm very proud of you, because even though you might not have won a race, you never lost a party. Okay, the good, the bad. How about the ugly? Ryan Blaney pitted with 3 to go. What happened?
Had no choice, man. Obviously, this is what I call taking a page out of Jeff Gordon's book, because Jeff Gordon was one of the best at it ever. Blaney should have known better. Bowman had a lead that was, you're not going to overcome that lead without a caution.
Right.
There's no way he was going to make up that time and those amount of laps on that track without a caution.
Yes.
So instead of pushing your car as hard as it'll go and burning that right rear off, he should have just said, you know what, I have no pressure from behind me. I'm going to ride this today. I'm going to finish second, and we'll go on to next week at Phoenix.